They set her up to fail, but Karoline Leavitt's clapback? It left the host and his panel utterly speechless. The studio hums with quiet tension. Cameras roll. Through the glass windows, the city skyline glows, a stark contrast to the charged atmosphere inside. Every eye is locked on the stage. At its center sits Grayson Holt, a name that demands attention in liberal media. He's built his career on razor-sharp monologues, viral takedowns, and the kind of sarcastic confidence that makes his audience cheer while making his opponent squirm.
And tonight?
He's ready to take another shot. Opposite him sits Karoline Leavitt, young, conservative, and completely out of place in this room, or at least, that's what everyone assumes. The panelists beside Grayson exchange knowing smirks, already anticipating the spectacle about to unfold. Grayson leans back in his chair, one leg crossed over the other, fingers tapping rhythmically against the desk, like a drummer counting in the first beat of a performance. "All right, Karoline," he begins, dragging out her name like a teacher humoring a student who just gave the wrong answer. "Let's cut through the fluff. You're young, ambitious, and somehow convinced that the Republican Party isn't just a retirement club with better tax breaks. So tell me, are you here to defend outdated policies? Or is this just your audition for a Fox News primetime slot?" A low chuckle ripples across the panel. Someone shifts in their seat, amused. This is familiar territory, Grayson, setting the stage for another routine takedown. Karoline doesn't blink. Hands clasped on the desk, she listens.
Waits.
She doesn't rush to defend herself. Grayson takes that as an invitation to press further. "I mean, let's be real," he continues, adjusting his blazer like he's settling in for the long haul. "Conservatives love parading people like you around, fresh face, camera ready. But at the end of the day, it's the same old script. Tax cuts, personal responsibility, some vague nostalgia for the good old days. It's predictable. The only real question is, are you in on the joke?" The camera zooms in. He's smirking. The panelists are watching, amusement barely concealed. Karoline tilts her head, expression unreadable. She's letting him talk, letting him dig. "Is that a serious question?" she finally asks, voice smooth, unshaken. Grayson shrugs, spreading his hands. "Oh, I'm sorry, did I hit a nerve?" Another chuckle from the panel. The setup is complete. Grayson is convinced this is going exactly as planned. But then something shifts, not in Karoline's voice, not in her posture, in her certainty. She leans forward, locking eyes with him. He doesn't know it yet, but she's about to turn this into his worst on-air moment yet. Grayson senses an opportunity. He's been here before. Young conservatives come on his show, try to hold their own, only to crumble under the weight of his sarcasm and experience. So he leans in, pushing harder. "You know, Karoline," he says, drawing out her name again, "I have to admire your confidence. It takes real dedication to stand by a party that, let's be honest, would rather see women in the kitchen than in Congress." The panel erupts in laughter. Even the camera crew chuckles. A clean hit. Karoline's expression doesn't change. Not a flinch, not a twitch. Grayson notices, but assumes she's just holding it together.
He presses on.
"And I have to ask," he continues, feigning curiosity, "do you actually believe what you say, or is this just a long-term grift? Say the right things, keep the donors happy, and maybe land a cushy pundit gig when this all falls apart." A panelist, a journalist from a progressive outlet, smirks and jumps in. "Let's not forget the GOP playbook," she adds, shaking her head. "Find someone young, marketable, willing to repackage the same old policies. Honestly, Karoline, do you ever feel like they're just using you?" More laughter. The rhythm of the attack picks up. Grayson sees his chance to land the knockout. "I mean, look at your position, Karoline. You're out here defending a party that fights against diversity initiatives, yet they're parading you around as their youthful, modern face. Do you see the irony? Or are you contractually obligated to ignore it?" A panelist chimes in, laughing. "Come on, Grayson. Don't be mean. Maybe she actually believes all this." Grayson grins. The audience, the cameras, the viewers at home, they're all watching, waiting for the inevitable stumble. But Karoline still doesn't blink. Instead, she adjusts her seat slightly, straightens her posture, and lets the laughter die on its own. 2 full seconds of silence. The energy shifts. Then, she exhales, tilts her head just slightly, and speaks. Are you finished? Grayson blinks. It's subtle, but the power just shifted. The laughter dies faster than he expected. He was certain he had her. The audience had been on his side. The panel had backed him up. So, why does it suddenly feel like he's lost control of the room? Karoline leans in slightly, keeping her hands on the table, expression unreadable. Are you finished? She repeats, voice even. Grayson forces a chuckle, shaking his head. Oh, Karoline, don't get all dramatic, it's just… No, really, she cuts in, so calmly, it's unsettling. Are you finished? Because I want to make sure you get all your little rehearsed jabs out before I respond. The room tightens. Grayson's smirk falters, just for a second. The panelists shift. The camera crew, suddenly aware that something real is unfolding, instinctively adjust their angles.
They weren't expecting this.
Karoline tilts her head. No smile. No frown. Just watching. Then she speaks. See, Grayson, this is what you do. You set people up with smug sound bites, get your panel to laugh, and expect your guests to stumble, get defensive, or shrink. And usually, it works. But here's the problem. You didn't do your homework on me. The studio is silent. Grayson lets out a dry laugh. Oh, believe me, Karoline,
No.
You didn't, she interrupts, voice steady. Because if you had, you'd know I don't fold. And I sure as hell don't let people like you define me. The shift is complete. For the first time, Grayson Holt isn't in control. And by the time the segment ends, by the time the show cuts to an abrupt commercial, by the time the internet explodes with clips and memes and reactions, one thing is undeniable. Karoline Leavitt just turned a takedown into a career-defining moment. And Grayson Holt? He's the one left speechless.